What if I told you that a single number, the final digit of your birth year, carries a quiet but profound influence over your inner world? Not a superstition, not a gimmick, but a reflection of ancient insights shaped by centuries of spiritual observation. In Eastern traditions, particularly within Buddhist philosophy, every symbol, pattern, and cycle contains meaning, including numbers. This final digit is not just a mathematical detail. It's a subtle imprint, a hidden current shaping your emotional patterns, your challenges, and your spiritual development. It's the whisper you've ignored, the compass you didn't know you had. You see, in many Eastern philosophies, life is expressed through the dance of 5 elements: metal, water, wood, fire, and earth. Each element represents a force in nature, but also within you, your tendencies, your strengths, your blind spots. The final number of your birth year aligns with one of these elements, offering insight into the unique energy you were born with. Today, we won't explore this through superstition. We'll explore it through awareness. Because once you understand the energy you carry, your path becomes clearer, your decisions more aligned, and your challenges more purposeful. Let's begin with those born in years ending with 0 or 1. These years connect you to the element of metal. Metal symbolizes discipline, refinement, and strength. It is the sword that has been sharpened by fire, the bell that holds clarity within its sound. Metal energy moves toward precision. It craves order. It values integrity. If this is your energy, you likely have a natural inclination toward structure. You seek truth, clarity, and high standards, both in yourself and others. You may find joy in routines, in clean lines, in defined boundaries. You are not easily swayed. You have principles, and these principles give you power. But Buddhist teachings remind us, even that which is strong must remain soft to stay alive. The Buddha warned of attachment, not only to possessions, but to ideals. When we cling too tightly to the image of perfection, we begin to fracture under pressure, like metal left to rust when unused, or shattered by rigidity. Your strength lies in your ability to hold clarity, to lead with integrity. But your evolution begins when you learn when to release control. Because true mastery is not domination. True discipline is not about rigid enforcement. It is about internal harmony. There will be moments in life that test your systems. People will challenge your expectations. Life will throw chaos where you hoped for symmetry. That's when your practice begins. Can you uphold your standards while softening your judgments? Can you be the calm in disorder without needing to fix it all? Metal, when tempered by awareness, becomes elegance. Not because it never breaks, but because it knows how to yield without losing shape. The path for you is to find the stillness within your structure, to breathe beneath the armor. The teachings of the Buddha don't ask you to discard your nature. They invite you to refine it. You were not born to be cold steel. You were born to be radiant gold. Strong, yes, but also luminous, compassionate, and awake. Use your order not as a way to control others, but to bring peace. Use your clarity, not to divide, but to guide. Let go of the illusion that discipline requires force. True strength is quiet. True power doesn't need applause. If your year ends in 2 or 3, your elemental connection is with water, the most adaptable and profound of all the elements. Water flows, it listens, it reflects. It doesn't seek attention, yet it reshapes landscapes over time. This is your gift, quiet strength. Water souls are intuitive, sensitive, deep. You often sense emotions before words are spoken. You can feel the undercurrents in a room, the moods people try to hide. You have insight that isn't learned, it's remembered. Like water, your wisdom comes from presence, not performance. But even water can stagnate if it doesn't move. Even clarity becomes cloudy when fear holds it still. Your depth is beautiful, but it can also lead to isolation if you're not mindful. Overthinking, emotional withdrawal, or self-doubt may keep you swimming in circles. Buddhism values stillness, but purposeful stillness, not avoidance. When the Buddha sat beneath the Bodhi tree, he did not run from the storm within, he faced it. And in that still presence, insight arose. For you, the challenge is not to quiet your emotions. It is to allow them to move. Expression is not weakness. Action is not betrayal. You are not made to hide in the deep. You are made to flow into the world, gently, powerfully. Trust your intuition, but let it guide you toward connection, not retreat. Let your empathy inspire service, not overwhelm. Remember, a river nourishes not by holding its water, but by moving with it. Silence can be sacred, or it can be a shield. Learn to discern between the two. Let your imagination be a source of creativity, not escape. You were not born to be understood by all, but you were born to understand deeply. And with that understanding comes responsibility. The path of water is to move with emotion, not drown in it. To hold space, but also take space. To reflect truth, but also speak it. You may not be the loudest, you may not be the first, but your impact is lasting. Because, like the ocean, your presence shapes the world, not through force, but through patience, grace, and depth. If your birth year concludes with 4 or 5, your elemental resonance is with wood, the energy of movement, creativity, and upward expansion. Imagine a tree pushing through the soil, rising with determination toward the sun. That is the force that lives within you. What energy is constantly growing. It longs to stretch, to evolve, to create. You are driven by vision. You often see possibilities, where others see problems. You feel called to build, not only with your hands, but with your spirit. Whether in your career, relationships, or community, you seek progress. You don't like to sit still for too long. There's always a next step, a higher goal, a better way. You are likely a leader, a motivator, someone who naturally inspires others to move. And this momentum is a gift, a force that can lift many. But even the most beautiful trees face storms. And even the most inspired growth must be grounded. Buddhism teaches us that desire, even noble desire, can lead to suffering if it becomes attachment. Wanting to improve is natural, but believing you are only worthy when you're achieving, that becomes a chain, a quiet one, but heavy nonetheless. You might feel most alive when you're building something. That's wonderful. But if you only find value in movement, you may overlook the power of stillness. When your worth depends on success or recognition, you can become trapped in a race with no finish line. The Buddha spoke of the middle path, a way not bound by extremes. For you, that means balancing your ambition with compassion. It means remembering that growth isn't just about results. It's about presence. A wise tree doesn't just rise. It also offers shade. You are not here to conquer. You are here to cultivate. True leadership is not about standing above others. It's about walking with them, uplifting them as you rise. That is the essence of service. That is the way of awakened strength. Still, the wood element carries shadows, restlessness, frustration, impatience. When things don't unfold as expected, your fire may rise. You might push harder, resist more, try to force your way through. But Buddhism teaches us that force without awareness becomes struggle. When the river hits a rock, it flows around it. When the bamboo meets wind, it bends, not breaks. So ask yourself, are you growing consciously? Or are you just racing forward to escape discomfort? Are you striving from inspiration, or from fear of stillness? Your energy is potent, but it must be channeled with presence. Let your ambition serve something deeper than ego. Let your dreams nourish your soul, not exhaust it. Remember, the tallest tree doesn't just reach the sky. It stays rooted in the earth. Be patient with yourself. Celebrate progress, but also honor pause. Learn to rest without guilt. Learn to listen without rushing. You are here to build, yes, but not at the cost of your peace. Create from alignment, lead with love, and let your growth be sacred, not frantic now. If your birth year ends in 6 or 7, your elemental imprint is fire, the energy of radiance, passion, and transformation. Fire doesn't wait quietly. It dances, it glows, it consumes and creates. It is aliveness in motion. This is the energy you bring. You light up spaces with your presence, your laughter, your expression, your energy. They are contagious. People are drawn to you. You carry warmth, intensity, and charisma. You have a gift for bringing joy into the room, for stirring emotions, for awakening hearts. You likely act from instinct. You feel things fully and respond quickly. You're guided by inspiration, by sensation, by the desire to connect. And this makes you powerful. You remind others what it means to be fully alive. But the fire element, while vibrant, also carries risk. Left unbalanced, fire can scorch. It can become impulsive, volatile, even overwhelming. It seeks recognition, validation, attention, and when it doesn't receive them, it can lash out or burn out. Buddhism reminds us, the ego feeds on applause, but the awakened heart thrives in stillness. The real purpose of fire is not to shine for approval, but to illuminate truth. When you let your passion serve your purpose, rather than your pride, you transform from performer to teacher, from entertainer to healer. Your challenge is to stay centered amidst your intensity, to feel deeply, but not be ruled by emotion, to speak with power, but not from reactivity, to move with energy, but not from chaos. This requires mindfulness, presence, the willingness to breathe before you react, the courage to pause before you speak, and the strength to let your inner flame be guided by clarity rather than impulse. Fire is sacred when it warms, when it brings light, but it becomes dangerous when it seeks only to be seen. Buddhism teaches us that the true path is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is quiet, sometimes it is still. Your radiance is beautiful, but let it be rooted in awareness. You don't need to prove your light. You are already light. You don't need to perform. Just be. Be with your heart open. Be with your truth clear. Be with your spirit grounded. When your fire is balanced, it inspires without overwhelming. It leads without controlling. It expresses without ego. And in that state, you don't just glow. You become a beacon, a light for others to see their own truth more clearly. So stay connected to your why. Let your passion burn, not for attention, but for awakening. And remember, as the Buddha said, just as a lamp cannot burn without oil, the soul cannot burn without purpose. Let your fire be sacred. Let your energy be a force for healing, for truth, for liberation. If your birth year ends in 8 or 9, your energy flows through the essence of earth, the foundation beneath all things. Earth represents steadiness, nurturing, and support. It is the quiet force that holds life in balance, the gentle strength that never demands attention, yet offers refuge to all. This is the gift you carry, a calm presence, a grounded heart. You may not seek the spotlight, but people naturally turn to you for guidance, for comfort, for clarity. You hold space. You listen deeply. You give freely. Your reliability is not just a trait, it's a sacred offering to a world that so often feels chaotic. In the Buddhist tradition, earth energy mirrors the quality of mindfulness, a gentle attention, steady and it's the energy of compassion in action. You are often the one others lean on, the one who brings order where there is confusion. There is a serenity in your presence that makes others feel safe. But just as with every element, earth carries a shadow, and it often appears as attachment to security. You may feel compelled to create order, to seek control, to maintain stability at all costs. It is natural to want peace, but sometimes the desire to protect what's known becomes a resistance to what's necessary. The Buddha taught that suffering comes not from change, but from our struggle against it. And for earthlined souls, the tendency to cling to routine, to relationships, to certainty, can become a heavy burden. You might build structures that feel safe, but in doing so, unconsciously resist the flow of life. True security, Buddhism teaches, is not in controlling the external. It is in finding your anchor within, to trust that even when the ground shifts, you can remain centered. To know that peace is not something you create outside yourself. It is something you return to within. You have a gift for creating sanctuary, but don't forget to include yourself in that sacred space. Don't take on the suffering of others at the cost of your own balance. Generosity is beautiful, but not when it becomes self-erasure. Your value is not measured by how much you carry. Let go of the belief that you must hold everything together. Sometimes the most healing thing you can do is allow space for others to grow, for situations to unfold, for yourself to rest. Your strength is not in constant effort. It is in steady presence. The path for you is to learn to release with grace, to allow yourself to change, to trust that letting go does not mean losing your foundation. It means trusting that your true ground is awareness itself. And now, having explored each individual element, metal, water, wood, fire, and earth, we begin to see a deeper truth. Each carries both light and shadow. And within that duality lies the opportunity for awakening. The 5 elements are not simply personality types or traits. They are energetic expressions of life's movement, spiritual mirrors that reveal how you show up in the world. In Buddhism, no quality is inherently good or bad. Everything depends on awareness. Metal's clarity can uplift or divide. Water's depth can nurture or drown. Wood's ambition can inspire or dominate. Fire's passion can warm or burn. Earth's stability can ground or confine. The difference is never the element itself. It is how consciously you embody it. The Dharma, the Buddhist teaching, does not ask you to become something you're not. It asks you to see clearly, to recognize your patterns, your tendencies, and your energy without judgment. Because awareness is the beginning of freedom. So ask yourself, how do I express my element when I am awake? How do I express it when I am asleep to myself? Where does my energy uplift? Where does it contract? Your greatest strength will often sit beside your greatest struggle. The blade of metal can become brittle. The ocean of water can become murky. The branches of wood can overreach. The fire can rage. The earth can harden. These are not flaws. They are teachers. Each challenge is a doorway to deeper wisdom. And so the work is not to reject your element, nor to worship it. The work is to refine it, to use it with mindfulness. This is what Buddhism calls skillful means, using your unique qualities as tools for liberation, not chains of identity. You are not fixed. You are not trapped. Your element is your entry point, not your limit. It reveals your spiritual terrain, not your destiny. Think of your energy like a musical instrument. When played unconsciously, it creates noise, but when played with presence, it becomes music, your own personal expression of truth. And when you learn to harmonize your energy with awareness, you become not only balanced, but transformative. Your life becomes your practice. Your tendencies become your training. Your struggles become your awakening. So whether you were born into the clarity of metal, the sensitivity of water, the vision of wood, the spark of fire, or the steadiness of earth, none of these define you. They simply introduce you to yourself. And from there, the real journey begins. The 5 elements, metal, water, wood, fire, and earth, do not stand alone. In the spiritual view of Buddhism and Eastern wisdom, they are part of a living, breathing cycle. Each element complements, balances, and transforms into the next. This is not theory. This is nature. This is you. You were born with one elemental imprint, but you are not confined by it. That energy marks a beginning, not a boundary. Buddhism teaches that everything is in motion, that all identity is fluid. The element tied to your birth year is a thread in the greater fabric of your being, a compass, not a cage. You may start life with the clarity and precision of metal, but as you grow, you may be called into the softness of water. Later, you may rise into the ambition of wood, blaze through a chapter of fire, and then root again into the steadiness of earth. The spiritual path is not linear, it spirals. Just like the seasons turn and the moon waxes and wanes, you will move through phases of passion, stillness, growth, and surrender. Your inner world echoes the world around you, always shifting, always inviting deeper awareness. This is the teaching of impermanence. Everything changes, every identity, every emotion, every pattern. And this change is not a problem. It is the very doorway to liberation. To believe you are only your element is to limit your potential. You are not just metal or water or fire. You are the awareness behind them all, the consciousness that watches, chooses, and transforms. The elements are not meant to define you. They are meant to guide you. Each element teaches something essential about the spiritual path. Metal shows you how to detach from illusion. Water teaches intuition and introspection. Wood embodies action with purpose. Fire reminds you to live with passion and presence. Earth grounds you in compassion and service. Over time, you will be asked to practice them all, not to master one, but to become fluent in the language of balance. This is why Buddhism does not offer fixed identities. It teaches that to cling, even to a positive trait, is to invite suffering. The moment you say, "This is who I am," you risk becoming blind to who you are becoming. Identity, when held too tightly, becomes an illusion. Dharma invites you to see that you are not the fire. You are the light behind it. Not the earth, but the stillness within it. You may feel most at home in one element, but that is just your spiritual home base, not your entire landscape. When life demands adaptation, you are meant to flow into new forms, just as water becomes steam, or wood becomes ash. This is not loss, it is growth. Your emotions, your tendencies, your instincts, they are not final, they are invitations. If you are rigid by nature, life may call you into softness. If you are deeply emotional, the path may lead you into clarity. If you are constantly building, your next lesson may be rest. This is not contradiction, this is harmony. In the Dharma, everything is connected. Everything arises from causes and conditions. That includes your personality, your element, your habits. But nothing is permanent. Nothing is unchangeable. The very nature of enlightenment is the realization that identity is not fixed, and therefore, it can be liberated. This is the deep freedom Buddhism points to, not in becoming someone new, but in realizing that you are not limited to who you've been. When you recognize your elemental tendencies, both the light and the shadow, you gain the power of response, the power to pause, the power to choose, and with each conscious choice, you shift your path. Think of it this way. Your element is like a seed. It contains potential, but what grows depends on how you care for it, the water you give it, the light you expose it to, the attention you offer. With mindfulness, your energy becomes a tool. Without it, it becomes a trap. The seed of metal can grow into wisdom or into rigid judgment. Water can lead to deep insight or endless worry. Wood can become inspired leadership or anxious striving. Fire can express truth or seek attention. Earth can offer grounded love or become stuck in control. The difference, awareness. With awareness, the sword of metal becomes a scalpel, precise, healing, compassionate. The waves of water become a stream of understanding, not a flood of confusion. The branches of wood stretch with purpose, not pressure. The fire of expression warms, not burns. And the soil of earth nurtures growth without needing to control the outcome. When you begin to live this way, seeing clearly, responding wisely, You no longer battle your element. You collaborate with it. You no longer reject your patterns. You refine them. The spiritual path is not about replacing your nature. It's about illuminating it, elevating it, making it conscious. So let go of the idea that your element is a destiny. It is a doorway. The question is not what element am I? The question is how can I embody this element skillfully, mindfully, lovingly, and when needed, let it go. When you can dance between the elements without attachment. When you can rise like wood, feel like water, sharpen like metal, ignite like fire, and hold like earth. All without clinging, you begin to embody the true meaning of spiritual freedom. Because in the end, your nature is not what confines you, it's what reveals you. And the more consciously you walk that path, the more your life becomes a living reflection of the Dharma flowing, grounded, vibrant, and awake. By now, you've seen that your element, metal, water, wood, fire, or earth is more than symbolic. It's a mirror, a guide, a spiritual fingerprint. But what does this really mean in the context of your life? In Buddhism, we speak often of karma, a word often misunderstood. It's not a punishment. It's not fixed destiny. Karma, in its truest sense, is momentum. It is the echo of past actions, the grooves etched into your mind and behavior through repetition, emotion, and intention. Your element reflects the kind of karmic energy you were born with. It shows you your tendencies not to trap you, but to free you. To say, here is the current you're swimming in. Now that you can see it, you have the power to change direction. Karma is not fate. Karma is feedback. You may have spent years reacting from your element's shadow. The sharp judgments of metal, the emotional retreat of water, the relentless pace of wood, the ego of fire, the control of earth. But the very moment you recognize these patterns, you've already stepped onto the path of liberation. Because awareness is the doorway. Once you become conscious of a pattern, it no longer holds you captive. You hold the key, and the choice to respond differently becomes available. The truth is, we all inherit patterns from our past, our upbringing, our experiences, but inheritance is not identity. You were never meant to stay stuck in the default. You were meant to awaken, like a river that's been flowing in one direction for a lifetime. Your life can shift course with one decision, not from force, but from presence. That is the power of the Dharma. It doesn't ask you to be perfect. It asks you to be present. Present enough to see clearly. Present enough to choose wisely. Present enough to align your energy, your element, with a greater truth. So ask yourself, how have I been using my element? Has metal made me rigid or wise? Has water drawn me inward or connected me outward? Has wood built with grace or with pressure? Has fire inspired truth or sought validation? Has earth created peace or resisted growth? These are not questions of judgment. They are invitations to clarity, because your element is not the problem. It is the path. And the more conscious you become, the more your element becomes a gift, a sacred tool for healing, for insight, for transformation. You begin to see that the structure of metal, when softened by compassion, becomes clarity without cruelty. That the sensitivity of water, when balanced with courage, becomes a well of empathy. That wood's ambition, anchored in service, becomes visionary leadership. That fire, rooted in truth, becomes divine expression. That earth, when it lets go of control, becomes the sanctuary where growth unfolds. This is the alchemical nature of awareness. It transforms what once held you back into what now propels you forward. And this is what it means to live your Dharma, your sacred alignment. In Buddhism, Dharma is not a job, not a role, not a title. It is the way you move through life when your actions reflect your deepest truth. Your element reveals both your natural strengths and your karmic challenges. It shows you what flows with ease and what requires intention. And when you live with this awareness, you don't just react, you respond. you don't just follow impulse, you follow wisdom. Your element no longer uses you. You use it skillfully, consciously, and compassionately. This is the journey of mastery, not to reject your nature, but to refine it. And so, the question becomes, will you allow your energy to be hijacked by habit? Or will you elevate it with mindfulness? The choice is yours, always. When you meet your patterns with presence, when you recognize your tendencies with love, when you use your element as a vessel for awakening, you transform. You become your Dharma in motion, not a fixed self, not a controlled identity, but a living, breathing force of awareness. You don't need to become someone else. You simply need to become more yourself, the version of you that is awake, the version of you that is no longer ruled by fear, ego, or resistance. The version of you that moves with grace through all 5 elements, adapting, flowing, and growing. Because ultimately, you are not the metal or the water, the wood or the flame, the soil or the stone. You are the stillness within them. The watcher, the presence, the awareness, the elements are not labels to limit you. They are doorways into knowing. They reveal what's ready to heal, where your energy flows best, and what you're being asked to learn next. So study your element, not to define yourself, but to discover yourself. Let its light show you your power. Let its shadow show you your path. And walk forward, not as a fixed identity, but as a free being, empowered by insight. You may have inherited a certain energetic blueprint from the moment of your birth, but every breath since then has been an opportunity to reshape that energy, to refine it, to choose differently. Buddhism does not teach you to escape who you are. It teaches you to see clearly, and in doing so, to return to your truest self, the self that is not bound by past karma, but liberated through present awareness. Your element is your teacher. Let it be a wise one. Let it reveal your tendencies, not define your limits. And let your journey be not toward control, but toward liberation. Because the final truth is this: your gift is not your element. Your gift is your awareness of your element. And when that awareness meets intention, when that intention meets action, you become something rare. A human being who is no longer reacting to the world, but responding to it with presence, with purpose, and with peace. That is freedom. That is awakening. That is the path.